Caller, welcome. It's WNUR. You're on the air.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for the shout out. I really appreciate it.
Hey,
our pleasure.
No problem. We're always here to encourage some local talent and
nationwide talent. Our friend is
yeah,
absolutely.
So tell us tell us about the new book and where can people find it, or if it's even on shelves yet, or.
Yeah, thanks so much. So, Date Your Career, The Longest Relationship of Your Life. That's my new book, and it's available right now on Amazon, both in paperback and in Kindle. And as you guys alluded to earlier, tonight at 5 o'clock at Nighthawk, there will be a book reading and a Q&A and a book signing.
Excellent. So what other things go on at this kind of book signing, like a meet and greet? Can people like ask you to do autographs, take pictures, that kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll, of course, there'll be pictures, there'll be good music, there'll be good drinks.
Who picks the music?
Who picks the music? The proprietor, Howard Windmiller.
Oh, okay.
He picks the music, and he's a drummer, so you know it's going to be good.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, you know it's going to be good. And then people can ask me whatever questions they'd like in terms of the career, the job hunt, corporate America, what it means to be a single working mom. Just about anything goes, but my parents will be there, so it's going to have to be kosher.
Cool. So you've already written a book or other books, or
she's written relationship books.
First book. I've got others on Amazon, but it is my first business book and my first career book.
Excellent. It's very intriguing because me and Jay were just talking before the show about inspirational reading. And this book seems to be like something we can both.
You probably both use.
Yeah, absolutely. What kind of?
Thank you.
Yeah, what kind of like history do you have with being, an employee?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're basically asking what qualifies me to write this book.
Right.
Yes.
in so many words.
Trying to put it nicely.
No, that's totally cool, and that's a very relevant question. So I grew up here in Chicago, went to DePaul, and I spent 20 years in corporate America. I have an MBA, and for the past 8 years or so, I've been career coaching, and I've been teaching MBA students at Cleveland State University and writing books. And so I take all of that knowledge collectively, like my knowledge as an author, my knowledge of what it means to be a corporate manager, an executive, and then also to be teaching future business leaders. And I put all of it into this book, into very digestible sections, very quick articles, very quick hits. And so people can just read what they want to read about, and they can pretty much ignore the rest because that's the attention span today.
Well, you're lucky if they get through half the book, with...
Hey, if they read a section, awesome.
With the lack of attention span that some of these people have now.
Yeah.
You've been writing for a decade now, Alexandra, and your others have been very relationship-focused.
So you've written books about relationships in the past? Was it more of like, like guides to relationships, or like, just how to be happy in a relationship?
No. The last book I did was actually called Diary of the Dumped, and that was the story of how a guy dumped me on a text message.
Oh, that is so taboo.
Right?
That is the worst.
That is the worst, and it wasn't even a millennial, it was a Gen Xer. We Gen Xers, we don't do that.
I know. Yeah,
millennials do that.
We got a little more respect than that.
Right, but don't piss off a writer.
Oh, man, yeah, that's a whole chapter.
Is said individual named in that book, Alexandra?
Right. If you enter a relationship with a writer and then you piss the writer off, you take that risk that you will be written about, not in a positive light.
Is this particular person we're talking about? Is he named in the book, in that particular book?
I would guess not.
Well, not named, but is it? You reference him, of course. Is that right?
Hello?
I said you referenced that particular person that did the dumping via text message.
I leave the names out.
Right.
But listen, this book was written when I was living in Cleveland, because I was living in Cleveland from 2003 until about a month ago. And the thing is, Cleveland is such a small town where it's like 1 degree of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, so you grew up in Chicago then?
Yep, grew up in Skokie, Illinois.
Hey.
Oh, man, most excellent. So
local yokel.
So after college, I assume that's where you moved to Cleveland for like your first job or whatever?
No. I was here until 2001. I worked in local companies. And then 2001, 2 weeks before 9/11, moved to upstate New York. That's where I got my MBA at University of Rochester, Simon School. And then 2003 till about a month ago is when I was in Cleveland, Ohio.
Cool.
Very nice.
So when did you get the writer's itch, shall I say?
When I was 4 years old.
Really? You just thought about, like, you just wanted to write biographical kind of stuff or fictional?
It was children's self-help books.
Just whatever.
How to manage your playtime, right, kids?
Like a writer is just like something like you're born with. It's in your DNA. And the first exposure to the writing, I guess, my family had is, so I'm an immigrant. I wasn't born here. And during immigration, we lived in Italy for 3 months. And I would be writing back letters to all my family back home about our adventure and everything that was happening to us. And I was like about 6 when that was happening.
Really? So you're just kind of detailing what life was like at the time?
Yeah.
What are the chances you still have these writings?
Unfortunately, none of my relatives kept them.
Oh, man, 'cause that would have been fun to look back at.
Yes, absolutely. But I've always kept journals and diaries and... You know, when I was watching Miami Vice in 1984, I was creating my own screenplays in my head for Don Johnson.
And those awesome clothes they wore back then.
Shout out to Crockett and Tubbs.
Crockett and Tubbs.
Crockett and Tubbs. Man, that brings back a lot of memories.
Absolutely.
Man, it's awesome to have somebody who's written books on the show. What do you... Who are some of your influences as a writer? Like, what do you read when you're not writing your own material?
That's a great question. So I grew up reading the stuff that we were supposed to read in high school, right? Like Dickens,
Catcher in the Rye,
Shakespeare, and at the same time, I was sneaking into the Skokie Public Library, and I was reading Less Than Zero, and I was reading Harold Robbins, and I was reading Jackie Collins.
Cool.
So, you know, I got the proper education at my school, but I also, you know, sneaked in books that I wasn't necessarily supposed to read.
Right.
But loved to read. And so, you know, these days I don't have a lot of time to read as a single working mom because I also teach and run a business and raising a toddler. But, you know, there's a lot of really, really good authors. And I have to give a shout out to... Charles Baxter, who wrote Feast of Love. He's my very good friend's dad, and his books have really inspired me. And Mark Weingartner, who wrote Crooked River Burning, which was a masterpiece about Cleveland. He inspired the screenplay I've been writing for like the past 10 years. So it's been nice because I've gotten to meet authors that I really admire. I got to meet Jonathan Franzen a couple of years ago and had a private exchange with him. So I've been very fortunate to have met my writing idols over the past 10 years.
Yeah, most excellent.
Was that a little bit intimidating, Alexandra, to have to meet these people that you admired and finally get to talk to them?
Is it intimidating?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Ridiculously nervous. And I don't drink alcohol, so I don't really know how to calm myself down.
You couldn't get loose, huh?
No. But what's nice is they're all human beings first and foremost, and they get just as nervous as you do.
Right.
And that's the thing. You know, it doesn't matter how many book readings or public speaking events I have done. Each one requires a little bit of, you know, internal Zen exercises beforehand. So you know when other people get up there too, they're human. We're all human.
So, I know a lot of authors don't really care to read reviews about their books. Is that something? Is that something you try to steer away from?
That's an excellent question. You know, publishing has changed so much that you live and die by those reader reviews.
Right. Yeah, because that could sell an extra 10,000 copies or not. You know?
Exactly. And then the more, like, you have to reach these benchmarks with Amazon. And when you do, then they start circulating your book more. And especially if you're a self-published author, like, that just means everything. So, yes, please, anyone who buys the book, whether you download it on Kindle or buy the paperback, please write your review and tell me what you really think.
Right.
Because, like, look, I want this book to help people find jobs, change careers, have the confidence to, you know, close the deal And so anything else I can do to help them further, please let me know.
Sure. And your business expertise would be in what? Finance?
Marketing is, that's what my MBA is in. That's what I did for a long time for various corporations.
Right. So is that like commercial production, or is it more like guerrilla marketing? Or I'm not too familiar with that world.
Sure. So it's, consumer goods. It's basically how do you get consumers to buy stuff?
Right. Oh yeah. Okay.
Right. And then everything has changed so much in marketing in the past 10 years because of social media, because of technology.
Right.
Companies can't force things down our throat because we have things like Yelp, right, and Amazon reviews. And so the consumers are driving the products that they want. And so now everything is about telling the story and crafting the right story and building the relationship between that consumer and the brand. That's what it's about today.
Excellent. So what could you, give us a story about one of your experiences in this field, like maybe something over the top, maybe something embarrassing or something, just memorable.
Promotion,
something that just stood out.
Jobs.
In the corporate world or in the coaching world? Well, here's the thing. I hear you guys talk about boxing, right?
Wow, that's me. That would be me.
Mm-hmm.
You guys talk about boxing.
Yes,
right?
we do.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Sports in general.
Okay. So I will tell you my most favorite project in all my years in corporate America. And this project happened about 10 years ago, and this is when I was working for American Greetings. And I was charged with developing a line of greeting cards that featured Muhammad Ali.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and he was still alive, and there was a team of us, and we had to rally really fast to get these cards to market. And I got to work with a creative team and a licensing team and a production team. And there were 8 cards, and you know what? They did really well, and they were reviewed really well, and they were accepted by the public really well. And the coolest part ever was that once those cards went to market, we took those 8 cards, matted them into one frame, and all of us who worked on them signed them, and we sent them to Muhammad Ali, and we got the nicest note from his wife that he loved them very much, and they were hanging in his office.
Oh, that's nice.
And that was just such a drop the mic moment, because how do you ever top that?
Right. That's a legend in the game of boxing.
The greatest of all time.
Right. He's the greatest. And he's so inspirational and so motivational, and he literally changed the world. And so being able to work on something like that is just really just a career topper.
Went from being a boxer to a humanitarian later on after his career.
Sure.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I'm sure there's things in your book that maybe Muhammad would have had some enjoyment from reading.
I hope so, but I'll tell you something that's very different about this book is that, the primary audience for this book is millennials. Anyone can read it, but I was really thinking about them because I've worked with over 1,000 business students now over the past 7 years or so. And, I did some informal crowdsourcing, and I reached out to some of my students, and I said, how much of the author's journey is really that important to you? And they said, we don't really care about the author's journey, just give us the advice.
Oh, man, that's terrible.
And so that's the biggest difference between, if you think of any motivational, career, self-help books that are done by baby boomers, it's always about them. They always put their face and their photograph right on the cover, and then maybe you could get to pick out a couple of nuggets that you can apply for yourself. Here, I chopped my personal journey to just 20 pages, and everything else is about advice for the reader. So most of my personal experience is not in here, or professional experience, I should say, specifically because of the target market for the book.
Right. So that's you raise a good point there about the millennials being a generation of me. Oh my goodness. Social media has given them the ability to be like, look at this, look at me, look at what I'm eating. Look how I exercise, look how I do yoga, look how I walk my dog in the park.
Look how generous I am. Yeah. What a humanitarian.
Right.
Yeah, but that's they are technology native. And so they've actually surpassed, right? So we Gen Xers were the smallest in the hourglass. There's only about 40 million of us. there's about 70 million boomers, and there's about 80 million millennials, and so they're surpassing everybody. So they're telling us now how to be, and so you have to either keep up or you're out of the game.
Right.
But also, listen, I've worked with and taught a lot of millennials, and over 1,000 students, and they're great, and they've taught me so much. And so, I hate all the stereotypes about them because, you know what, that may apply to about 10 or 15%, but it certainly doesn't apply to about 85% of the millennials that I've come in contact with. They're hardworking, they're disciplined, they want to do what's next. A lot of them have families, and they're juggling families and school and work just like we all did. And so, I dedicate this book to my son, but I also dedicate it to my students as well because they've made me better at who I am. And for that, I really thank them. So I really don't have anything negative to say about millennials. They're going to change the world, and they already are.
Right. Let's hope it's just for the better,
Let's hope. That's all we can do is hope.
Well, someone's got to save the world.
Yeah.
Very true.
Someone's got to save it besides Wonder Woman. So.
Yeah. Awesome movie, by the way.
Fantastic movie. What did you think of the movie? I have to ask you, gentlemen, what did you think?
Jay, you saw it, right?
I know. I saw it at the drive-in. I was getting eaten up by mosquitoes, and I quit and I left. They feasted on me like a kid on fat kid on cake. So no, I had to exit, but it's good. I love her. I love Gal Gadot. I think she's gorgeous. She is absolutely stunning, and I will watch anything with her in it.
It's a big turnaround for
DC.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The last two films were abysmal.
I told you we
like DC's time, right?
Right.
Yeah.
About her, she's got to save DC.
That's right.
Not Superman
right, because they went in some crazy direction with Batman and Superman here.
Yeah, but Batman is still their bread and butter.
It's true. I mean, but I'm not sure about Ben Affleck.
I like Affleck as Batman.
Well, the Dark Knight, Batman, they've always been very stoic. Every actor, Michael Keaton played him, and the American Psycho guy,
Christian Bale.
Every single person that's ever played Batman has always been very stoic.
Right.
Yes.
They don't show their emotion. That's kind of part of the character. And
right.
Ben Affleck is the perfect stoic man.
Yeah. He was also the perfect Daredevil at one time too.
Right.
Remember, he played in that other movie,
the Marvel
yes,
movie.
He did.
The blind lawyer.
Yeah. And then his girlfriend was Elektra.
That was right. That's his wife.
Was it his wife?
That is his wife. That is Jennifer
Lawrence.
No,
Garner.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of Jennifers.
There is a lot of Jennifers.
Date a lot of the Hollywood men.
That's right.
That's true. There's plenty of them.
Just remember, he was with Jennifer Lopez about 10 years ago.
Yes, he was.
And I'm wondering if he still wishes he was.
Who knows?
She's a serial dater. She can't stay.
Age. She's like frozen in time.
Yeah, but she's such a serial dater, though, guys. She's not going to be happy with anybody. So
if she called you turn her down, Jay?
Would I turn her down? I would probably say, meet me for some salsa dancing and plenty of pictures to show my buddies to make them so jealous.
And wear something skimpy.
Me, her or me? I think I would wear anything she wanted. If she wants me in a skimpy dress, hey, I'll do it. If she wants me, that's fine. But absolutely, I think she's beautiful, and I think she's doing some good things.
Mark, let me tell you something. My business students have presented on her. She is one smart cookie.
Absolutely.
And she and John D. Rockefeller are extraordinarily parallel in their personalities, ambitions, and everything they've done. Don't underestimate her. She is a heck of a businesswoman.
Yeah, absolutely she is.
Yeah, feisty.
Everything she's done. Look what she's done in the beauty world.
Music
and movies, everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Her own line of clothing.
Doesn't she have a fixed show in Vegas right now? Isn't she doing, what do they call those?
A review?
Oh,
okay.
She's a residence in Vegas right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Celine Dion. Yeah, absolutely.
Or Penn and Teller, yeah.
Yeah, or Carrot Top.
Those guys are great.
I don't think J-Lo is doing Penn and Teller.
No, I don't think so. Penn and Teller wish that they were hanging out with J-Lo, I think.
Sure.
Right. But I mean, like, she's got the show with Ray Liotta. She's got the dance show.
Absolutely.
I mean, she just always has a million things going on. And, she's hustling, and everyone can learn from her from a business perspective how to hustle.
Managing her own brand and...
Right on.
Yeah. So that's something you got to deal with as well, isn't it? Being in marketing, you know how to kind of manage your own personality and your products, like your book, your writing.
Right. It's a lot to juggle, and I had this perfect trifecta for about 7 years, which is I write, I coach, I teach, and it worked, right? Like it worked because I was always doing something, and it was never the same day twice. And then 18 months ago today, I became a mom, and that just changed everything. And so I still coach and write and teach and raise a child, and it completely shifts your perspective of, what does the hustle look like now?
Right.
It's very, very different. It's a very, very different thing than when it's just about you.
Sure. Raising a family is a job all unto itself.
Yeah, and you're responsible for this little tiny human.
Yeah.
And that's like scary.
Yeah, absolutely.
and amazing all at the same time. But the thing about having a kid is that a kid gives you clarity, and suddenly a lot of the noise in your life just kind of goes away. And so when you do your work, you're even more focused with your work. And I remember when I started to put this book together, which was right around the time he was born, around 18 months ago, I had about 100 articles to start with, because this all started from a career toolbox column I was writing in Cleveland. And it took all these 18 months to sort those 100 pieces. And I remember I would be feeding him his bottle while I'm going through the pages, or I'd put him down for his nap, and then I'm editing. So literally this book came to life as he went from being a tiny little infant in the hospital to where he is right now. So he's just been with me through every single step along the way. And I think that's kind of neat. And that's also a big first for me for any book I've ever done, is that, my son was with me every day that this book was being put together.
Sure. So I would assume he's roughly at the end of high school on his way to college?
He's 18 months old.
Oh,
today.
I thought you said years.
No, he's a little guy. He's a little handsome little man.
Oh, awesome. So congratulations.
Wait, with Alexandra as mommy, hey, the sky's the limit for the little guy.
Sky's the limit.
Sky is
That's
the
right.
limit.
That's right. The sky is the limit for him. And, I'm the immigrant in the family. My parents are the immigrants. He's not the immigrant. He's the American boy.
Mm-hmm.
So, everything is open to him. And that's just the universe I want to create for him, where anything is possible. And he just has to know what he wants and be disciplined about it and be a good human. And the rest will all fall into place.
Just be a good human. Words of advice right there.
Be a good human. If there's any career advice I could give to everyone, is be a good human.
That's where it starts.
And don't be that guy, because we all know that guy.
No,
right?
no.
Right.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Alex, it was great chatting with you. Why don't you go ahead and give out some plugs?
Yeah, thanks so much. Well, hopefully you gentlemen will come out tomorrow. So we will be at Nighthawk, and it is at the corner of Lawrence and Kimball. You could take the Brown line, get off the Kimball train stop, or you could just park there in Kimball. I will be reading from the book, and another good friend of mine, Brian Sahai, he's going to be reading an essay that he wrote in the book. And there will be a Q&A. People can come and ask any kinds of questions they would like about careers, resumes, interviewing. Like I said, anything goes, but it's got to be kosher because my parents are there. And then we'll sell some books. We'll sign some books. People can have some drinks, socialize, network, bring your business cards. You never know who you're going to meet at my book readings. That I know for sure.
And officially, folks, that's going to be June 25th, which is today. She's book reading at Nighthawk Cafe, Bar, and Tavern. It's at 4744 North Kimball Avenue.
Thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure.
Our pleasure. Anytime you want to come on, Alexandra, you're welcome to just jump in and put your 2 cents in on our little shenanigans that we do here every Saturday night at midnight.
Well, I appreciate that. I love being on the radio. It's really
come on down. We love the female perspective. We need the female perspective, and you'll kind of calm us down and make sure we clean up our act.
Yeah, we'll keep it kosher.
Because sometimes we need you to ground us. You can ground us, not literally, but kind of be the.
I would love to do that. You know what? Challenge on.
You're welcome to come down anytime. Absolutely.
Yeah, I understand that, it's difficult getting out to Evanston. It's Saturdays on a midnight, but, you're more than welcome to come back and tell us about how things went. and whatever projects you got coming up in the future.
Thank you so much. It's very, very generous of you, and thanks for having me on. This was a real pleasure.
Our pleasure's all ours. Thank you, Alexandra.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Alexandra
Sukhoy, absolutely. Creative Cadence is the publisher, and we loved having her on. And again, the book is Date Your Career, Creative Cadence. And she's also the author of The 90s, Diary of a Mess.